Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Hey, good evening and welcome to the Monday, February 12th, 2024 meeting of the East Lampeter Township Board of Supervisors. My name is Corey Meyer, and to my left, I have Supervisor Ted Gallagher, Vice Chair Ethan Demi, Supervisor Michael Thornton, and Tom Selleck, Roger Rudd. That was a joke. Young guys. Okay. Roger, can you hear us okay? You're unmuted. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. It's Roger's birthday today, so we're not going to sing happy birthday, but happy birthday, Roger.
Thank you.
Okay. Please join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic and nation indivisible, liberty and justice. Thank you for that. We have agendas. If you sign in the back, you'll get into a minute. Third on the agenda, we have public comment for non-agenda items. We're here for anything not on the agenda. Okay. Steph, anything online? Okay, great. Okay, we'll move on. We have the consent agenda. We have a few items that I will read off, and then we can have one motion to approve the consent agenda. We have 4A, approval of the February 12th, 2024 Board of Supervisors meeting agenda. We have 4B, approval of minutes of the Monday, January 15th, 2024 regular meeting. We have C, time extension for township review and action for the King Land Development Plan, which is at 338 Willow Road. Applicants offering an additional 90 days from January 31st, 2024 for township review and action. This is the second time extension offered for this application. We have 4D, financial security reduction request for Devon Creek, New Holland Pike. Engineers provide a letter recommending reduction in the amount for financial security held for required improvements. The amount of the recommended reduction is $32,105.50. We have a remaining balance of $2,165. And that's for remaining required sanitary sewer improvements. And we have 4E, financial security reduction request for Sundance Car Wash, 1728 Lincoln Highway East. Township has provided a letter recommended reduction. And the amount of the reduction is $3,971, and that will leave a balance of $10,255.92. And then finally, we have approval to pay invoices from all funds, total of $978,746.81. There's a few items of note. We have one for $257,356.55, the City of Lancaster for fourth quarter sewage treatment. $104,583.60, the temp check for partial payment for the new HVAC for the township building. $43,962.42 to Lancaster Area Sewer Authority for fourth quarter charges. And then lastly, $14,710.59 to the Eastern Salt Company for rock salt, which we may be using today or tomorrow. And that is all I have for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through F
Okay, motion made by Ted, second Mike. Okay, any public comment about the consent agenda? Okay, we'll do all those in favor. If that is okay with staff. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Great, thank you. Okay, got exciting time here. Recognition of promotion to sergeant.
The recognition of my officers. The Police Department Administration has completed a promotional process for the rank of sergeant. Officer Ryan Wiggand has competed in this process, and after having tested and interviewed and reviewed his past evaluations, he has obtained the top position. Officer Wiggand is a 6-year veteran of the police department in good standing and eligible for promotion. At this time, I wish to present Officer Ryan Wiggand for promotion to the rank of sergeant. Officer Wiggand.
You have a sheet? Okay. Don't just repeat after me, but sure. I state your name. State your name.
Ryan Wiggand,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution
or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this country.
and that I will discharge the duties of police sergeant
That I will discharge the duties of police sergeant
in East Lampeter Township,
in East Lampeter Township,
Lancaster County,
Lancaster County,
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Gonna be the first to call you sergeant, although you already have your,
Yeah, I got a couple done ahead of time.
you want to introduce your family?
Sure. I'm the friends and family here. On the end of my fiance and my daughter Sage, and then John and Michelle, my soon-to-be-in-laws, and then my parents.
Nice to meet everyone. Thanks for coming out. I've had a chance to ride along, not with you personally, but with your platoon, and you just do a great job. And so thank you. Thanks for everything you do, and thanks everyone that came along as well. All of your colleagues. Anything you want to say?
No, I mean, I guess just if there's many agencies in Lancaster County. I've said and felt for a long time, any other agency in the county could offer me a position, I wouldn't take it. I think this is a good agency. I'm happy to be here and excited to get started.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah.
You're welcome to stay along for the rest of the meeting, but you'll probably be very bored. Welcome to go out, get some pictures. Thank you. Okay, 6, we have old business, we have none. On to 7. 7A, we've Echo from Stoll Shoes, 525 Mount Sydney Road. By chance, up and say hello and do you have anything to present, or you're just here just to make sure that we understood? You can answer any questions. Just give us some background on the phone if you can.
Your name, sir? I'm Levi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Stoltz, whose property is on Mount Sydney Road, 525 Mount Sydney Road. And he intends to place a modular unit on the property, 14 by 40. Next to the driveway, coming into the property. Will be serviced by a public sewer system by connecting the unit into existing laterals serving the home. And the temporary arrangement so that they can take care of family.
And any concerns, staff? All good? Yeah, okay. So Levi Stolster's in front of us with an ECHO agreement, which you should have as well. Any kind of a motion?
Vote to approve the ECHO agreement for the Bolters 525 Mount Sydney Road.
Okay. Second by Ethan. Any comments? Any public comments? Okay. We'll do all those in favor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Yeah. Good evening. You too. Thanks for coming out. Okay, we have one. Yeah, sure.
Paperwork, does that come by mail or how is that taken care of then?
Board will have to sign the agreement and then Colin will reach out to you too.
Very good.
Yeah, we'll sign it right after. It's good. Okay, we have 7B. Supervisors, future discussion items. I know you have items to discuss.
We don't even have something on the agenda, have something just in case, then hopefully we can have something just for to discuss a little more detail. Last two rounds. One of the items that we discussed as we were talking about this was draft set of rules for public meetings.
Okay, cool.
And so the reason for having a set of rules is better to have the rules before you need them rather than like tonight. We apparently have a very crowded room of lots of people having public comment. We have had meetings where people come in. So usually if there's a lot of people who want to talk, it's an item that people are pretty passionate about. So this would be a concept to have some rules on the book for how we run things and give us the flexibility. So all I did was I read through a whole bunch and then I looked at basically East Hempfield Township and Lancaster City and pulled what I thought were some highlights and tweaked the things, a few words from shalls to mays to give us some flexibility. And so I typed up a brief or copied and pasted a brief draft, which we could talk through. So the sort of discussion items had on the back page 1 with some links here, and I copied verbatim. Here's the East Hempfields and Lancaster cities as reference and for you to look at. But so the discussion would be, should we have a set of rules or is it fine not having some? We also existed fine without having a set of rules for a while. And then of that, are there any items here that we should add, remove, or edit? And the time limits I just copied over. One was 3 minutes per person, and then the wording is approximately 20 minutes for public comment. So the idea would be, hey, if it goes longer than 20, the chairman can say, we're going to kick this to the next meeting. We're going to kick to the end of the meeting if we have time, or we'll schedule a special meeting for it. So it gives us some flexibility there. And then at any time, the majority of the board could make up a new set of rules, but this sort of sets the idea that people can read online, come prepped. I'd ask people if there's a group, get a spokesperson, state your name for the record. Another one, we have a sign-in sheet at the back. We want to make that for people who wish to have a public comment versus people who just want to sit and listen. Those are just some of the questions I came up with over my lunch break.
Just a question. How did these get invoked? I realize that if we would do this, we would, pass, we would adopt these rules, but assuming you were able to find them on the website, and then any public meeting we would have, these rules would essentially be the rules for the meeting automatically after we pass that. Is that how you?
These are both rules for public comment. And then we could say they apply to any meeting unless we have a different set of rules. Every other township that I've read through, they pass a resolution saying these are the rules.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we could also add in there some things for internet comments. So we can say, for example, we ask for someone to participate in Zoom. We ask same information. Where do you live? but anyone could watch the live stream on YouTube in real time without having to give us that information, which is fine. But if they want to give a comment or speak, then it'd be all right, go through Zoom. But if you just want to watch, go to YouTube. We want any email that's sent to be read, or do we want only public comment to be public comment? Any digital comments will be just circulated to the board. Those are some other things we may want to add since we do have Zoom as a regular part of our meetings.
So, thank you. Thanks for putting this together and thanks for the research. Questions before I just give a few comments?
So do we, when we do public comment now, we do reference the electronic.
Yeah.
Virtual though. Not,
Either by email or by.
we usually ask, is there anything in that stage? And we would just read that. The person may not be here.
I can't recall us getting one recently.
I think what I'm trying to get at is public comment to me it appears to be in person in some way at a meeting, because you could at any time send an email in. And that wouldn't necessarily be added to public comment.
However, anytime a motion is made and seconded, there's an opportunity for public comment, and there could be a situation where someone is live online listening and then would provide a comment digitally.
So that would be following these rules, or these for the time where we say, here's the public comment time.
So we could add in those other, we can set rules for when those public comments are. So in other words, we could say you have to physically be here to give public comment. We could say you have to be on Zoom, but willing to talk. We could say you can text it, email it, comment it. So my understanding, as long as we have a set of rules, we could, for example, restrict it to, you have to have someone read the, you have to say it out loud. You can't just put in a large comment string.
When we have a second vote in discussion, and when we say it, I mean, sometimes we may kind of forget to say that. Is there any public comment about it? Could someone say, well, do you have any restrictions, you supervisors? You're making a comment. Do you have to follow the 3 minutes? Do you have to, I wouldn't want a citizen to feel that way. It's kind of like in the legislative process that we're supposed to do that, right? But that was my first question, just on what do we mean by public comment? Is that this moment in the meeting, and this is it? The other thing I would say is to retain in some way comment that we would have the ability to change a meeting if need be. Now, I may be overstating that, but I saw that in school board meetings a lot, and they say, oh boy, we got a big comment. We have to move the meeting to the auditorium because we have so many people that want to talk, right?
Yeah, so this one I have, the above procedures may be modified at any time by a majority. And then there's another one, the chair recognizes the speaker, and then the chairman can ask the speaker to conclude their remarks at any time if they become repetitive or disorderly. I've seen in other ones where a chair can, which we can add in there, can extend a 3 minute. So the 3 minutes is there, but it can be extended.
I think that would.
You wouldn't be able to do that on the fly though, if you had to change your location. That would be. And we're we haven't really had to use this yet, but we're kind of saying in the worst case scenario, if we had something extremely controversial, and then we knew like, oh boy, they're not going to be able to fit in here. Should we? CB Middle School, could we borrow your place? I don't know if we've ever had to do that.
Yeah. In my lifetime.
Yeah. So you would be able to do that on the fly, but you'd have to sort of make that decision. I mean, at a meeting, you could make the adjustments. You'd have to be ready for that. But, do you follow the same things? Maybe, is it 3 minutes?
I've seen other ones that they're a much longer one, like E-Town Borough has both their rules of conduct as well as the process for the entire meeting spelled out. And this would be, if we wanted to go deeper than this, you could also add, all right, what are the rules we're going by? So this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania doesn't designate a way to run the meeting. Most people follow slightly Robert's Rules of Orders, but which edition of that are we using? We don't need, like, do we need roll call vote if someone's online? Can we do a voice vote?
Yeah.
Do you have to have a second? You don't have to have a second.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have a motion. It could be if it's on the agenda, it's already considered to have a motion. The chairman just has to call the question. So you don't have to, for an a unanimous voice vote, the chair could also say if there's no objection, we'll adopt a consent agenda. If no one says anything, it's just adopted as presented. So like E-Town, theirs is like 10 pages long. That details all of those items. So
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is that.
my idea was to bite off a small chunk of the
Small
apple.
chunk, exactly, yeah. So, other comments? Thank you, Mike, for that. Any other? Yeah.
And probably concise enough that it would be readable by the
Exactly.
chair. The chair would have to say, okay, here's the quick review of those rules again. And who's monitoring that? Like, who's got the
Right.
timer? Who's, we'd have to work that out.
We have,
Okay, and that, my last comment, you're out of order kind of thing.
right,
So is there a conduct? I'm not sure. Is there a conduct piece in here? In other words, if somebody starts cursing or impugning somebody else's, you're nasty talking your neighbor, I know there's a lot of freedom, but is there a conduct piece of it that should be added? I don't know if you saw any in the others that you looked at.
probably down, right?
Yeah, E-Town has a lot more. So East Enfield was the simplest. So they've got the, where was the one in there? So the chair can tell someone to wrap it up if they're disorderly. The city has another one in there, where they go into decorum and civility, show respect, slanderous personal attacks, libel, loud disruptive behavior, will not be tolerated. So that one, the city has extra ones in there, which we could pull in if we
It
want.
might be important to just have it so that as you're conducting the meeting as chair, at any time that they can say, that's, we have to stop for a minute. Remind you of the rules and then go from there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. Ted?
You tweak it to make sure it fits everything we need it to fit.
That is, if we like it, or I go get Roger's comments, we could say staff can
Draft
find time
something.
to draft something.
Exactly.
Have a
What
solicitor.
do we have right now for public comment? It's just for to govern.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have public comment at the end of the meeting. We always had public comment, after a motion and a second, for the law. We did have public comment all at the end of the meeting. We thought that, people would then have to sit in the meeting the entire time that maybe could go to 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We said, you know what, let's move to the front of the meeting. And, I think that's a good thing to do for the public. So we did. We don't get a ton of public comment. Frankly, we hardly get public comment on simple motions. We occasionally get public comment for, more controversial things.
Hotel.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I agree with Ethan that having, a set of rules is better to set them prior to, we have no idea if we're gonna have something controversial. Sometimes we go years without anything controversial, but I think having some rules would be helpful. Roger, comments, questions? You're on mute.
Yeah, I agree with, let's set up a format so we know how to deal with it when we need to deal with it, rather than to try and walk back in and figure out how to do it.
So staff, any comments or questions?
I may, after.
Yeah, sure.
Chance, I mean,
Yeah.
as far as the timing is concerned, it's sort of already been said, but I think you'd want to have something visible that the speaker would be able to see how much time they've used, how much time they've got. So we'd have to figure out, so the board can see it and the speaker can see it. And
I mean, they sell rather cheap, like for cooking, you just set 3 minutes, turn it around and.
They actually have two face ones.
Yeah,
Your face
sure.
is the same one. Their face.
Yeah, and maybe $15 on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we definitely would.
Detail.
Small detail, totally agree. But yeah, so I guess, any other questions from staff?
No, that's it.
Okay, yeah, so again, the goal of this was, let's put it out there, get some open discussion, and then staff get it, come up with a draft. Of course, the solicitor would definitely want to take a look at it and then get it back in front of us for proper action when needed. Or if you guys, if staff has questions in between our solicitor, please bring it back to a future discussion. Sound good?
Yeah.
And then second, Mike, do you want to just talk about a potential future discussion item or?
Yeah, just to, I think possibly to have a discussion and maybe evaluate other thoughts that may come from that discussion regarding if our township were to be identified as a location for immigration and customs at the federal level to perhaps move non-citizen migrants here. Obviously, our hotel makeup is part of why this might be an attractive area, along with services and so forth. And I don't know what the process is for that selection. Does ICE contact a local municipality? Do they? Obviously, it would seem to me that they would be contacting to know what services there are via township to me that, especially in our makeup here. And just to evaluate it, put it on put it in our awareness and a discussion. Maybe there are things to learn from fellow managers and others that have experienced this, especially in Pennsylvania. And, it might be a little more heightened. You'll see more stories about it in the Southwest, but it's certainly an issue for all major cities, and we're not that far from any major city. So something for us to discuss and be ready for.
Understood. Any other comments from the board and staff on that topic?
We'll have to do some research on that.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mike, for bringing that up. And thank you, Ethan, for the rules. Are there any other topics for future discussion that we want to put on the agenda that we want to discuss? We can definitely, if staff is ready to discuss at the next meeting, can we get that on the agenda? Staff's ready to discuss the rules of the meeting as well. And then any other topics for discussion for future meetings?
One that I brought up when we gave some examples, that as we go into as we wrap up the housing study and then start to lead into our update of our comp plan, just a review of, we passed an accessory apartments ADUs or zoning ordinance change almost 7 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. And then we recently updated our subdivision land development ordinance as well to go along with that. I think it'd be beneficial to maybe go back and look at that, get staff's perspective on how's it going. Let the public come and say, are there any complaints with that? Or is there opportunity to expand it? We had a gentleman in earlier with an ECHO agreement. What's really the difference between an ECHO agreement and him calling that an accessory apartment? If we allowed it, his neighbor can put in an accessory apartment. He can't, based off of where the zoning lines are. But functionally, what's the difference between the two? So could we expand accessory apartments into the ag zone? Could we tweak some of the uses? Could we make them an accessory to a principal use in a residential zone? Those are some things, but also how many do we have that we know about? How many do we think there might be that have now become legal that existed prior to us making them legal? And then what are other board members hearing from their neighbors about accessory apartments and general thoughts? So sort of, hey, we passed it, let's check in. Is it working? What things could we tweak on it?
That, to me, great topic. Just don't know how much time would be necessary to do the research for staff to bring back. What are your thoughts on that, Tyra?
Yeah, so the plan actually calls for us to look at that. And then it calls for us to educate our constituents on how they can get ADUs on their properties. because we're not seeing as many as we hoped. And part of that is because we just changed the saldo ordinance, right? So there was an impediment there, a significant financial impediment to a landowner, but now that impediment's gone, and I think we need to do a better job at educating our constituents about the possibility of having ADUs.
Okay. So I think that's great that the plan talks about the education, communication about it. Sounds like that would probably meet majority of the need. What's the approximate time frame for that to happen, for us to discuss that?
You should get a draft of the housing study at the beginning of March. There's a presentation to the Planning Commission tomorrow night.
Okay.
And then we should see any of their comments incorporated.
Yeah.
And then you should get a draft at your first meeting in March. And then you should have a presentation at your second meeting.
So that information is going to be in that report.
The
Wow.
invitation will be to educate our constituents.
Yeah.
And we've already started looking at how many ADUs.
Yeah.
The information is there. We could have that would be a good lead in. So we want to educate basically before we do that, or at the same time, do we want to make any tweaks to it ahead of time? Or put that on the docket to do this year with the zoning change? Do we want to make any tweaks to it? So sounds like the recommendation is it's a good thing that we have it. We just need to tell more people how to do it. But what other ways could we lower the barrier of entry?
The other element in my mind related to the plan and review of that is going to be priority.
Yeah, there's gonna be other
There's
stuff.
going to be recommendations in that, and whether or not this is the board's top priority out of those recommendations, you'll have to tell us.
So we have to wait for that plan in its entirety to really digest.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be my suggestion, Ethan. I think it's, again, great. Thank you for bringing it up. Let's mid-March, second meeting of March, we'll have a plan. If you attend the planning commission tomorrow, right? Then you'll, get in advance on it. And let's just keep that as a back burner until that mid-March meeting.
I agree. It's an important topic.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, you're Susan.
Another one that had come up just in talking to other supervisors, as I was discussing this piece, was getting feedback on our website. What do people like? Are there features that we could look at adding? What do our neighbors have on their websites that we could incorporate? What questions do we get that people find difficulty finding that we could tweak and change? So those are all things that, hey, if we perhaps everyone clicked through the site, looked at our neighbors' websites and came up with, all right, what are a couple of things that we'd like to see, then they could be added, or we can make those changes slowly over the next year.
So I'm seeing more and more social posts, digital interaction, which is great. Appreciate it. Seeing some different things on the website as well. When I go out to look for something or point a neighbor somewhere. Any thoughts on future enhancements or feedback that we can provide staff on that? Assuming you guys are open to getting that feedback and
I think, in my view, one of the biggest things is going to be finishing off the codification project and getting that available through the website.
Yeah, that's gonna be a huge functionality, searchable and accessible and just based on, Roger, go.
Well, one of the things that I thought of, you have all these yard signs for lacrosse sign up and baseball and things like that. Couldn't that be a part of our website as like making us more of a community? I mean, where would I go if I had a 5-year-old grandson and he was in the CV school district? If I didn't drive around and see signs on the front yard, how would I gather that information?
Yeah, that came up in the go. Sorry.
We're planning to hire a recreation director, and that could certainly be one of the tasks to gather that information and make it a little more easily available. So That's how I would
Yeah,
suggest.
and that came up in some of the discussion. Years ago, I ran a Facebook page called Conestoga Valley Youth Sports, which I essentially, as a volunteer effort, grabbed information from all the other Facebook pages and posted there. And I knew most of the other presidents, but that discussion item came up when we were doing the study. And the thought was that if we did hire someone, part of their role would be to try to get as much of that information digitally onto the website or Facebook or whatever, wherever people look, in the future for that type of information. But
And not to reinvent the wheel. I believe the school district
Sure.
website has a community feature. Maybe we just link it.
yeah, correct. Yeah.
Good thoughts. Yep.
So, yeah, so on the website feedback, I think again, that's a great one. My goal with these are to have, 1 or 2 or 3 for the next section. So can we hold that one? Just, I mean, if you have feedback.
These are ones of, I would say, all the ones I listed were things that we could put on a future agenda. So I was just saying, here's the one. So like website feedback, I don't think we all have the information in front of us.
Exactly.
Do that now would be, all right, if we
Yeah.
put it on next
Yeah,
meeting's agenda, carve out
Yeah.
10 minutes to go click through,
sure.
do a little bit of digging and then come prep for a discussion.
Yeah,
Not a long one, but
yeah,
a list of things that we could look at. And some we might be able to do, and some staff may look at and go, that might go into next year's budget to talk to the web developer to have that feature.
yeah.
So those are just a few suggestions of things we could add to the next meeting agenda.
Okay, so looking for direction really from staff, because some of this is work for, some of that, the website feedback, of course, would be work for us to do to then provide staff, but the initial items that we discussed would be work that staff would need to do before the next meeting. So just thoughts on rules. You think that's possible for the next meeting, or should we? And it's okay if we just put it on the agenda and you guys have questions for us to help you then redirect the solicitor. Is that?
Yes, I think that's how I would see it happening.
Okay.
There would be more discussion.
Sure.
About it at the next meeting, and
That's fine.
not anticipating action.
Okay, that sounds good. And then the second item, I'm already the migrant. And just
More of an information.
yeah, sure. So if you just want to put that on, you can put that under manager's report or supervisor discussion.
I think this is a good example that Ethan brought, like the public meeting comments. We could go through this again and kind of say, here's the top ones, I think, because I do think it should be simple. It shouldn't be real detailed. You should be able, as a chairman, any chairman should be able to say, and just a reminder, here's our speaking rules, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and pretty much have it, even though it could be a little more detailed, but then we could come back. Because it is, supervisor discussion items. So this is kind of like on us to say, what are we thinking about? And then, the refinement, I think, what maybe staff helps us with.
And then on the website comments, again, just to reiterate and just confirm, your thought is supervisors go out, look at East Hempfield, look at Lancaster City, look at wherever.
And township.
Outside the county as well, right? Anywhere else. And come with some thoughts or feedback to the board or to staff. Is that your thought on that? Okay.
That would be a thought to say, what features do we see? Because we're all on different websites. Like I live on the internet. I have too many websites at my office that I'm constantly on, but everyone's got different ones. Or what do you get calls about from your neighbors that they can't find? I mean, we all feel a call from like, hey, where do I find this? And I send a link. Because I'm very familiar with the site.
Probably the most common one, which I think is what is this property zoned, right? It's someone who's trying to either develop something in the, it's clickable and type the address in, and there you go.
With the GIS.
Yeah, the GIS, exactly.
There is a GIS.
Yeah, I know. No, I know it works.
Finding it is what is tricky for some people.
Okay, any other thoughts for that agenda item? Okay, we'll move on. 8A, we have Nomination for Quarry View Building Group to Historic Preservation Trust Recognition Program, 2603 Lincoln Highway East. Touch, do you want to talk to that one, or Darren? I'm not sure.
Sure. Essentially, the board has nominated properties over the years when this program, the Historic Preservation Trust has this program. They do it every year. They like to recognize projects and people for significant things. And when the information came across our desks for this year, our thought was that Core View and the change out there at 2603 Lincoln Highway might be a good one to nominate for their consideration.
Have you by chance talked to Mr. King about that?
We have not today. We were waiting to see if the board
Okay.
agreed with.
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
recommendation.
I just wouldn't want for some crazy reason he wouldn't want this. I think he would, but
Agreed.
yeah, okay. Just yeah. I think it's a beautiful property. I actually have not been in the building yet. Roger, I know you visited, and a few of us
For the open house, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm all for it. Do we have a motion to nominate?
Make a motion to nominate Quarry View Building Group for the Adaptive Reuse Award.
Second. Motion made by Ethan, second by Ted. Any public comment or board comment for 8A for Quarry View? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. We have 8B, Westline Peter Township Zoning Ordinance Review Comments.
The Westland Peter sent us their draft. New zoning ordinance. I mean, they're providing it to us, and when they wanted comments back, didn't really fit well with sorts of meetings, so that did generate a comment letter, and we sent that back to Westland Peter to meet their. But we wanted the board to get the same information, have the opportunity to review it, and provide us with any additional comments or changes that you'd like to see us send to Westland Peter. I don't believe they've taken action yet to actually adopt their new ordinance, but oh, it's actually tonight. So
Okay, well, there's
a timing issue.
Yeah.
I would say, from my perspective, the biggest issue that was identified is, the Bridgeport plan that went through jointly. They participated in that with us. There were issues made in there. We didn't really see anything in the proposed zoning ordinance that addressing those recommendations.
Could you give us an example?
Residential uses in that area of their town. Yeah, they're not providing for residential uses at all. Yeah.
Thank you for Colin, Parrott, for reviewing, and whoever else reviewed it as well. Comments from board members?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I agree with staff, especially the amount of effort we're putting into that Bridgeport, like study and looking at improvements there. That'd be my main concern, is that where a lot of municipalities come together, so the more we can have a consistent zoning for the purpose of having it all look, feel, and the same. The more we can communicate, just look at Bridgeport and try to fix that would be great.
Agreed. Other thoughts? Okay. We have a draft letter in front of us, or comment review letter from staff.
Letter drafted by staff regarding the zoning ordinance.
A motion made by Ethan, second by Mike. Any board comment or public comment? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we have 8C, resolution regarding budget amendment for Highway 80 fund transfer. Dump truck bid.
We're replacing a 2002 truck chassis with purchase of a new chassis, but we want to move the dump bed off of the 2002 and put it on the new truck. We talked about this during the budget process, but failed to include both of those costs in the item, line item for the expenses associated with both buying the new chassis and moving the dump bed onto it. So we're asking the board to consider adopting the resolution, which is the vehicle necessary to amend the budget so that we can accomplish this vehicle change.
The Highway 8 fund as presented. Second.
Motion made by Ethan, seconded by Ted. Any public comment or board comment? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we have 8 or 7D. No, 8.
Number 8.
Okay, that's all right. So confused. Okay, 8D, appointment to Emergency Services Committee, Township Citizen Representative, term ending 12/31/25. Such we received interest.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Stephanie Johnson submitted a letter of interest. I also did get a phone call from a gentleman, Jim Smith, who was a former representative on the ESC, but I asked him to submit something for the board to look at, and I haven't received that from him. So,
Okay.
the spot's vacant at this point, and the next ESC meetings in mid-March. So it'd be nice to have both those spots filled by then.
Yeah.
Make a motion to appoint to the Emergency Services Committee as a township citizen Stephanie Johnson, term ending 12/31/25.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mike, second by Roger. Any board comment or public comment?
Do we have a copy of the letter in our pack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was circulated at the last meeting.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Stephanie, and she's very excited about getting involved. Has a little bit of background, only with her children being involved, but family members, but everything you'd want in a citizen to help us in this committee. So
Yeah, that's, I recall. Yep, thank you. Any other comment, questions? Thanks, Ted. Good question. Okay, we had a motion made. Yeah, motion made second, made comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, we have 8E. I'll talk to this one. This is authorized travel expenses for chair to attend FBI Citizens Academy, Philadelphia. I was nominated by FBI agent to attend the Citizens Academy in Philadelphia. It's about 8 sessions. This would be in, if I do get, I was nominated, did apply. If I do get approved and my expenses are not covered by the FBI, this would be covered by the township. I do want to make you aware, if you do approve that, if something would happen to me during that travel, I would be covered by workers' comp insurance as well. And I assume when we have individuals, board members going to meetings at the state for PSATs and meetings like that, we would be covered for workers' comp as well. Correct. Okay. Yeah. So Hutch and I thought, well, Hutch thought it would be good, and I totally agree that we put it out in the public and ask for your approval so everyone's aware. So I'm going to abstain from the vote, but I will accept a motion in a second.
Do you have a general idea of?
I will attempt to use the most cost-effective travel. I doubt, I was hoping to take Amtrak to and from. But the train coming home, sessions are from 6 to 8, except one session, which is during the day. The train coming back from Philadelphia is not till like 10 o'clock. I think it's like 10 till like 11:15 or something. It's a little late. So I'll likely drive and have to park down there. So my assumption is, I haven't really done the math, so good question.
Just you're not taking a helicopter from.
No. I would take. My assumption is I would be reimbursed at the, IRS rate.
You're not completely sure if it's not covered.
That is correct. So I would make the motion contingent on me being accepted and my expenses not being covered by the federal government.
I'll make a motion to approve your travel payment as long as it's not covered by that program.
Motion was made, second by Ethan, made by Ted, second by Ethan. We'll do a voice vote. I'll ask you, you can say yay or nay, or abstain. Roger?
Yay.
Ted?
Yay.
Ethan? Aye. Yeah, aye. There you go. Is that more proper? Chair will abstain, and Mike is aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And my goal, hopefully, part of the mission of the Citizens Academy is to bring information back and open up lines of communication between this organization and the FBI. Okay, we have F, consider green light go application regarding old Philadelphia Pike traffic signals.
This is a program run by PennDOT, and they do an annual application process. We're in the process right now of constructing improvements. We discussed at the last meeting, awarding bids for the traffic signals on what I call the western end of Greenfield Road, 30 Rams, Horseshoe, and Oakview. So the funding round has come about again, and staff would like to consider the signals at Whitmer, Mount Sidney, and 896 for similar improvements. The program pays for 80% of the cost. It helps to make improvements as well as reduce township future maintenance costs when we do these projects. And so for investment of 20%, we think it's a good program. Guarantee that we would receive the funding, but we'd like to submit the application.
Thank you.
You make a motion to approve township staff to apply for the latest round of the Green Light Go grant for the old Philadelphia Pike traffic signals as designated, understanding that the grant would cover 80% of the cost of that, the township covering 20%.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll second.
Second.
I got a second by Ted. Sorry, Roger. Okay, any board or public comment? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we have 9A, Connections 2050 Transportation Planning Public Survey.
I just wanted to make sure as many people are aware of this as possible. The county's doing a transportation survey out to the public to try to help inform their planning process for transportation improvements in the future. And as many people from the public as we can get to respond to it would be great. Do you think we've put it on Facebook, our Facebook page? It's been on the website, and provided the link there, and just anybody who may view the YouTube or hear us now would have the opportunity to respond to that. So
That's great. Thank you.
yeah.
Any questions for A? Okay, B.
Just want to update the board on what's happening out at East Town Mall. You may remember that we were about an amendment to the zoning ordinance back in October of last year. And to date, nothing has quite a bit more. Proposal to put self-storage into that property. So just want to keep you up to date on what's
Do
happening.
they have a claim of when they hope to do the work to start?
Well, the sense that I got back in September and October was that it was urgent and that they wanted to do it immediately. But that hasn't materialized.
Okay. That happens.
Yeah.
Okay. See,
Yeah, I just wanted again to mention to the board, the Shentel Cable TV Internet Services Company is in the township. They've started doing construction. We've had complaints about some of the activity, and we're now on a schedule with their representatives and township staff to meet on a bi-weekly basis to go over what's happening, where they are, issues, concerns, problems. So we're going to try and monitor that and keep on top of it as best we can.
are they approximately in the Bridgeport area?
Island Acres.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Do they plan to cover most of the township, or what is their?
Yeah, we've never really seen a full build out plan, but I'm confident they're going to focus on the more densely populated areas, at least initially.
Yeah.
And perhaps grow it from there, but they have no obligation to serve everybody. So they're starting in the more densely populated areas and working from there.
Yeah. Seems like they're still working on the West Lampeter side of our neighborhood. But yeah, like Dial Before You Dig was recently out marking up all the streets, and because they just essentially stopped, and now they picked up now on the other side of the road on Hofstadter, closer to Millport Road. So
the permitting process, they do have to, for anywhere you're going to actually move into on the right of the permits, the bid processing permits. So those get kicked out, and then in those areas, that's where they're able to dig. They do, from what I understand, put door hangers on properties as they're moving into a particular area. And, we'd encourage people, if they have any concerns or problems, that they call the number on that door hanger. Many times they're more comfortable calling us. Yeah. And so they do. But at least so far, the people we've talked with have been responsive.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Any questions? Okay. Okay. We have that's all of our items for today. Adjourn. Oh, okay. Hold on. Did you have something?
Oh, we started at 7:30.
Okay.
7:30. If so, that's a great move.
I'm happy. I'm not going to accept the motion to adjourn. So please come now. Yeah, our goal is not to. Although I could say, yeah. We did. 7:30.
We probably should have done.
Okay. We will double check that.
Okay. Well, my name is John Kreider, 2566 Old Philadelphia Pike, just on the other side of Mill Creek, just down like the creek.
Yeah.
In 07, I came in here. I wanted to put an apartment in, and I had to get a variance because I was in an ag district, and ended up not doing the apartment after all the construction costs and stuff. But I'm getting ready to sell my place, and I thought, well, I'll just double check. The people were asking about the zoning. I just thought I'd double check. And I came in and talked to Colin. Come to find out, I looked on the website first. I couldn't believe it. Come to find out, it's now village residential after being ag since the beginning of time, I assume. And I didn't have any notification of that whatsoever. Colin said he's not aware that that's a requirement. I called my neighbor. There was 3 properties involved, I believe: Fisher's Construction, Alice Weaver, who has 10 acres, and my 8 acres in two deeds. I assume that was changed in 2016. Colin was looking into it. He couldn't figure out when it was done.
16. Yes, yeah.
You know, I'm sitting here with, Sinopoli and he told me they need a variance because you're in ag and come to tell him village residential. I'm a veterinarian and I considered building a vet facility, which is an approved use. Now that's gone. Now that it's not ag anymore. Potential buyer of my property is this, but greenhouse is off the approved list. Another guy would like to have a small private school there for his kids and maybe some others. That's off the list. My property was ag forever. The back 1/3 is floodplain. It's prime farmland. It's great soil. It's a flag lot. I've got 100 feet of frontage next to the bridge there. I'm across from light and industrial. Why on earth would this have been made village residential? Beaver's 10 acres. Nursery, the thing's taken off the list. Nursery, greenhouse, landscaping, all of this. Buyers, maybe units. I paid $250,000 in taxes in the last 22 years I've lived there. And now I've got to tell buyers, well, that's not approved. You got to go to the township for that. And I'm surprised it's legal that you can do that. But certainly your citizens deserve better than that. And they should be notified before the ordinance change. And I guess I would ask, and Colin said that all you can do at this point is hope you get leniency from zoning because it's been ag forever and ever, and now it's been taken away.
Yeah.
That's my public comment.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ryder. I don't have the zoning. Actually, why don't we answer the first thing? So this property was changed in 2016. Is that correct?
Part of the overhaul of the zoning ordinance,
Okay.
which we had 4 public workshops for, and it was advertised in the newspaper multiple times.
All of that.
So, but that's when the notice takes place when there's an overhaul zoning ordinance, not individual properties were notified because the entire township was affected.
But they should be. Private landowners should be notified. If I want to build an apartment or change my driveway, I've got to come to you. I can't just do it without notifying you. I think that's disrespectful of the landowner.
The law requires that we put it in the newspaper.
Yeah,
If you individually were changing if we were changing just your property, we would have to notify you. But it was an overhaul of the entire township. And so we notified everyone in the township through the newspaper.
Back to the new era, the liberal paper that I canceled 5 years ago because it's not even used anymore.
It's up to you.
So I just think it's
Yeah.
change something. It's farm. Nobody's going to build anything. It's neighbor, the closest land. It's a ownership guy. You're gonna. I never. That here, and be affected by others. I got a flag lot. You put a frontage next to the bridge. A terrible place for a driveway. I'm not going to build more houses in there. It's floodplain. I think maybe the guy that was drawing thought it was easier just to make a straight line to the creek rather than draw all the other little property in there. That's what it is. That's what it is.
The planning concept was that if you had frontage on Old Philadelphia Pike, it made sense to be part of the village rather than part of the agriculture.
Maybe if you don't details, maybe.
No, I think that's.
Right. It's floodplain. You're not going to build back there.
You have 2 homes on the properties, correct?
Yeah, there's 2 buildings, the yarn shop and my residence. But I have 105 feet of frontage, and then behind it is all floodplain. You know, it's been farmed. It was a greenhouse for Frank Weaver had a greenhouse there for 50 years. So my main point is that whether it's required by law or not, I think you owe it to your citizens to notify them when you're changing significant changes in zoning.
Thank you.
It's
appreciate
water
that.
over the dam now. For me. I'm selling it in 3 months. So.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, I know Ethan has the zoning ordinance in front of him of what is allowed and what is, and I know you rattled off a few different uses. I'm assuming you've looked at what is allowed and what's conditional use, and I'm assuming what you said is true, that it's not allowed.
Yeah, nursery, landscaping, greenhouse, CAFO, heavy equipment, roadside stand, all that stuff is now got to come to you and get approval for that. So, and that affects the purchase price and.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And sorry about the time. We'll double check that. Thank you. Okay. we have a motion to adjourn? I think we did have a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
We did. Did we have a second? Yeah. Okay. Any other public comment on the motion to adjourn? Any other public comments? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.